Hello and welcome back to the 2024 race season. It's been a very warm Wisconsin winter and we're back racing down in Joliet, Illinois at the Autobahn Omnium put on by the South Chicago Wheelmen, which was a great event. This is day 2 of that event, and day 1 had a TT where I got 4th, and Saturday had a crit where I got 10th but scooped up a couple Omnium points in the middle. So coming into this race, I was in 3rd place in the Omnium overall, and 2nd place wasn't here. And the guy who beat me in the TT for 3rd, I think, also wasn't here. So basically, it was me trying to lock up 2nd place if I just got 9 points, and then the Omnium leader in that sunset kit driving the pace at the front. He had like a 25-point lead or something, and there was basically no chance I could score enough points and have him not score enough points to take over first. So 2nd was, I think, a very achievable goal coming in here, and 1st was completely out of reach, which really shaped the strategy for Andy and I, who's my teammate up there in the blue on the red bike. We were just kind of looking to, like I said, lock up 2nd and not really concerned with 1st, either in the race or overall. So in terms of teams here, we've got Evolution in the purple. They had 5 or 6 guys. Our team had 2, and then OK had, I think, 4, including the leader, who's not in their kit, but he was in his Rule 28, gotta be Aero skin suit. And so that was the team dynamic, and I kind of figured it would be, the Omnium leader would be kind of animating the race and chasing everything back, because he was super strong. And then Evolution was kind of the main group we were looking at to rein him in if they were going to try and go for the win. And the other OK guys were just kind of like counterattack or chase, the couple moves back that they needed to. The course, as you can see, is a racetrack for cars, which is cool, especially for an early season race. Having something this kind of wide and forgiving is really nice for getting back in the swing of things. Like, there's no curbs, the corners are all very swooping and forgiving, so especially coming out of 6 or 7 months of not racing, having something that's pretty easy to get into is a nice way to start the season, so I appreciate that. It's so wide and open, though, that the wind was a huge factor here, so you can't really tell from the video, but it is very windy. Right now we got kind of a cross tail, but if you turn this last corner up ahead here, you kind of turn into this pretty gnarly cross headwind, which ended up really affecting anyone's willingness to be on the front in that section. And this last corner itself was like a little, I don't know, it's hard to describe, but a little more than 90 degrees, and again, a variety of line choices there, but you could take it pretty fast once you got used to it, 30 plus. But you did kind of turn the corner and get smacked by this headwind, which kind of made the whole thing pretty jittery. So it was a fun final corner for sure. And we're back at the start line. So you can kind of see attacks have been going off. The Omnium leader has either been initiating or chasing most of them back. And that's going to continue for a while. So we're going to cut to a little bit later in the race when some other stuff happens. Okay, so we're back on the home straight here, and way up at the front, you can see that little figure who just started guttering everyone. That is Hendrik, the Omnium leader, and he has turned that guttering into a big gap and is now riding off the front. This was kind of expected, I thought, because he was really, really strong. Like, he won the time trial, and then he kind of drove the second group in the crit, chasing a solo rider for basically the whole race in my experience yesterday. So I figured he would try and go for something. Again, like I said earlier, didn't totally, I don't know, I wasn't totally sure exactly how to play this, because I thought 1st place overall was just not going to happen in the Omnium. And I thought 1st place in the crit was like pretty unlikely, just because of how strong Hendrik was. Like, even if, let's say, I bridged up to him, sat on his wheel, and did nothing for 35 minutes, like, it's still possible he would have beaten me in a sprint. And it's also possible I would have just gotten tired in all the wind and just not having much shelter. I might not even be able to hang on for 35 minutes. So I'm kind of like sitting on the front trying to get some other group or person to chase. And the bridger there, that's an Evolution rider. It's the other big team, so they're not going to chase. So we're kind of in this weird sort of yo-yo zone. But then this OK rider takes a couple hard pedal strokes while he's pulling off, and I figure, you know what the heck, let's just try it. So I use that as a kind of springboard to start a bit of a attack, I guess. I didn't drive it super hard, and you can see I didn't really get a gap behind me. But we catch the bridger almost immediately, who either was really feeling the wind or just like realized he wasn't making progress and decided to come back to the group. So now on this tailwind section, I just kind of settle into a pretty high, above threshold pace, but I wasn't like going crazy trying to bring it back. I just want to see what we could do to the gap. And maybe it's coming down a little bit, but not much, if at all. And then behind me, I'm not really looking, but I thought we might have a gap, but that's not actually what happened. So at this point, I pull off and I say, all right, someone else go. And then that rider behind me says, well, I'm kind of here by myself. Not really my job to chase. Let's go get Evolution with their 6 guys to chase this back. And this definitely happens a lot at the Cat 3 level, and maybe the Cat 4 or 5 level too, where people know team tactics and they're kind of familiar with the ideas that they should be trying to execute, such as, if you're alone, like, don't chase, wait for the big team to chase it. At this point, in this race, we have a guy who's, I would say, perhaps overqualified to be a Cat 3. And so it's not just like, team tactics, bring it back. It's sort of a question of like, can anyone actually bring this guy back at all? Like, is it even physically possible? And I think that's kind of a question going through everyone's mind. But here we have Evolution putting a guy in the front, and again, kind of in the tactical sense, it's just a little weird in the Cat 3 level because you have people filling in like me, right? Like, I'm like, well, Evolution's chasing, good for me, let me just slot in and benefit from that. But kind of too many people have that idea, and that OK guy up there, like, he's obviously not going to chase because that's his teammate up the road. But it's like, we don't really give Evolution a chance to get organized. It's like one person hits the front, and then we all just kind of opportunistically slot in, which ends up being very disruptive because we kind of act like a teammate for the OK guy in that we don't actually want to chase. We just want to sit on. And so then it ends up kind of like this, where Evolution guys are kind of flying over the top, and is it an attack? Is it a pull? I don't know. So I don't know. This is just classic Cat 3 dynamics. So we're going pretty good here, and this is still the point in the race when we had some optimism that we could bring it back. But I'm going to cut ahead again to a little bit later, and we'll check back in. All right, so we're on a points lap right now, and I am just kind of sitting on the front, which is probably not where you want to be basically ever in a crit, right? But I wanted to keep position like towards the front, and just with the way that the race was going, towards the front meant on the front. But you see, the problem with being on the front is you can get attacked like that. So this guy goes on the left. It's a pretty big dig to get up there, but luckily, I can fill in behind a couple other guys who are also chasing, and we get him back, and then we're back to where we were before of no one really wants to be on the front. And like you just saw, if no one wants to be on the front, you can end up down at speeds, like 20 miles an hour, 22 miles an hour, where anyone coming from like 5 wheels back can just launch it, and then it's a huge snap to get up their wheel. Which is just overall not ideal. So I'm sitting here being like, well, don't love it, but I guess this is better than it was. I'm trying to get people to come through. They're just chilling because they're just waiting for the sprint. But then teammate Andy on that beautiful red canyon, he comes by and he's like, I got you. We're just going to lead it out, keep it fast, and he's going to drop me off in great position for the sprint. So thank you, Andy. And this, I think, is also... I don't know, sometimes people think when they think of like lead outs, they think of like 4 people, leading it out at 35 miles an hour and dropping you off with like 100 meters to go, which certainly can happen. It's nice when it works like that. But a lot of the times, especially in kind of these Cat 3 races where you might not even have like a full team or anything, really all you need from a lead out is just someone to do exactly what Andy's doing. Keep it fast and keep it so that anyone who wants to attack has to go really, really fast to attack, and they won't be able to have as big of a speed differential. So we're coming to the last corner. I say, thanks, Andy. That was perfect. I managed to be first into this last corner. And right about here, you get smacked by the headwind, and I just check behind me, see there's someone right with me, and I try to judiciously open it up for a sprint. Yesterday, I had the same idea of sprinting for Omnium points, and I found myself sprinting against the Omnium leader, which I thought, okay, sure, he's got a big TT, he beat me by like 45 seconds in the time trial. That's a lot, but I got a sprint, and how many time trials with the sprint? And we came around the last corner, and I said, oh no, he does have a sprint. And I went really, really deep to beat him and get the points, which I did. So I got third because there were two guys off the front. He got fourth. So I did net up 2 points on him. But then the problem was I was so tired that I wasn't able to recover in time for the race to get hard again. And so the next time someone attacked, I basically just got dropped out of that front group and had to roll in with the second group, which was not ideal. So this time I was trying to, have a much more intelligent strategy for the sprint and not go all out and make sure I could continue to follow attacks, which you can see there's a bit of an attack going right now. Is it an attack? Is it just a gap opening up? Are we trying to bridge? Are we attacking for second? It's a little unclear. I had given up on winning at this point, but I still wanted to place as high as possible, so I was trying to make sure I was in any groups that did go up the road. But I think here and later on in the race, people were basically giving up as well. People were attacking. Sometimes people were organizing chasing just to see if we could get any time back on first. But for the most part, it kind of settled down after a while into all of us just rolling around and waiting for the field sprint. All right, here we are at the bell lap. So at this point, the dynamic has been, like I said earlier, kind of settling down into everyone going for a field sprint. The Evolution team there on the purple kits on the right, they've kind of been assembling into a 4 or 5 person train, but I think the problem is they do that with maybe 2 laps to go or so, but the problem is this is a very long lap. This is about a 1.5 mile loop, and so the laps are 3.5 minutes roughly. So if you're going with 2 laps to go, it's a 7-minute lead out, which is just a really, really, really long time. So I think at some point, I think they realized, oh, wait, 2 laps to go is not 2 laps to go in a, 1.2K crit. We need to kind of back off a bit. And so that ends up with it being a little bit messy. You can see, I think right here, there's an attack going. People are calling it out very vocally. And so it gets pretty surgy, We're all trying to stay in the top position, but not be on the front, and then we'll catch this guy, and then we're all just gonna slow up completely, and similar to the points lap, right? We're finding ourselves in a position where everyone wants to be near the front, but no one wants to do the work to keep it fast. Until it's Elizabeth Dixon over there on the left in the green kit. She had just won the women's open race, took a cool down lap, and immediately hopped into the Cat 3 race here, which was super cool. And she just was you know what, why are we noodling around at 20 miles an hour? This is the last lap, let's go. And so she's sitting on the front, kind of stringing out, which is great for me personally, because now I have this great opportunity here. It's just wide open in front of me. This is a tailwind, and you can see from the power, I'm not working all that hard, but I'm able to sneak up the sheltered side in the tailwind and go from, whatever that was, 6th or 8th wheel, all the way to sitting right behind the first wheel, and then coming around this bend, I can take over and lead it into the last corner, kind of like I did with the points lap, which is pretty much exactly what I want to do. I want to be first in the last corner, and I think I have a better sprint than probably most of the field based on yesterday, where I was able to outsprint the leader and kind of everyone else in that front group for points in the middle. And then, I got popped off that group, but out of group 2, I had a pretty, commanding sprint over them as well. So I was feeling confident, feeling good about my sprint as long as I was in good position and able to, be there. And so up this little rise, I kind of drill it a little bit just to make sure no one comes around me on the outside. I get to come in first through the corner. I'm just trying to keep it safe and stable through there. We come out, get hit by the wind, and I just open it all the way up. No point in saving anything, not a race tomorrow, so I just give it the beans all the way to the line. So I was really happy with that sprint. I thought, second was basically the best I was going to do. Second here, locked up second in the Omnium, which was cool. And I was just really, I had a really good time at this race. Thanks again to the South Chicago Wheelmen for putting it on. And I'm looking forward to what the season's going to bring.